The News Watch never stops. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Good afternoon, 54 degrees with sunshine through the clouds. We've seen a few clouds around at 140. I'm Kevin Rincon. Here's what's happening. Hurricane Melissa expected to make landfall in Jamaica. It'll be the strongest storm in recorded history to hit the island. The storm will then head north. Early voting underway in the mayoral election in the city. So far, we've seen a 5-fold increase in ballots cast compared to 4 years ago as the candidates stay busy on the campaign trail. Dozens of schools in the city will be getting a panic button to alert the NYPD of any issues in real time directly. A guy from Queens convicted of killing his mom and brother 2 years ago. Sentenced. Roscoe Danielson will be spending the rest of his life behind bars. The World Cup tickets won't be cheap. We've got the money. FIFA opening up its second phase of sales today with another 1 million seats up for grabs. Right now, a mix of sun and clouds. We're expecting a cool breeze around this afternoon and a high of 57. 141. Let's get you to where you need to go with Greg Ross.
It's getting a little worse on the West Side Highway. Northbound West Side getting up towards West 125th Street. They're taking the left lane away for construction, and that's why you're slow out of the low 100s on up on the West Side. Broadway is going to get you uptown in much better shape. East side of Manhattan, the FDR loaded either way to 96th Street. Southbound slows into the 70s, and then big trouble on the FDR in lower Manhattan. Looks like you got a southbound wreck on the FDR under the Manhattan Bridge, and that's got you slow now all the way back towards East Houston Street. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Citybound, George, upper level right now, about an extra 20 to 30. Ditto on the lower, the West Side Highway, even with the warts. It's the best of it out of town. Northbound Deegan, best out of the Bronx. Lincoln and Holland, no more than a few minutes in either direction. The ride right now in Brooklyn, the BQE loaded either way to the Brooklyn Bridge. The Verrazano Brooklyn bound upper level is the better of it. Lower level, still slow Brooklyn bound on the Verrazano because of construction on the ramp to the eastbound belt that they're getting rid of right now. Greg Rice, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
Hurricane Melissa, a Category 5 storm expected to make landfall in Jamaica. And when it does, it'll be the strongest storm to hit the island since record-keeping began in 1851.
Hurricane Melissa is expected to make landfall as the strongest storm in this country's history. A lot of people here, I don't think, understand the power of what's about to hit. So they're going through the same preparations that have gotten them through storms before. But this is a different storm. And I'm not sure that a lot of people realize the power and the devastation that a storm of this strength can actually cause.
Jason Allen reporting Melissa blamed for 6 deaths in the northern Caribbean so far. Now, the storm will turn north early this week, avoid the U.S. in terms of any direct landfall, but the bands of the storm will still be felt along the shoreline. Folks in Florida preparing for strong winds and heavy rain. As a result, they're stocking up on basic essentials like food and water. The NYPD officers who responded to the mass shooting at an office building on Park Avenue this summer, they were honored for their courage today.
The nearly 200 officers who ran into danger did so with the weight of the city on their shoulders, says Commissioner Jessica Tisch.
Steadiness under pressure, courage without hesitation, and an unshakable commitment to protecting others through your actions.
Detective First Grade Didarul Islam, who lost his life, is remembered as a quiet hero. Tisch says here's why he joined the department.
To be, in his own words, a blanket for the community, a source of protection, comfort, and care.
Islam's father and brother-in-law were at the ceremony. Mac Rosenberg, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
The candidates for mayor here in the city out and about trying to convince undecided voters to back them. The frontrunner, Democrat Zohran Mamdani, meeting voters near an Upper East Side polling site, and tonight will appear on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. He held a big rally with thousands at Forest Hill Stadium last night, where he was joined by Governor Hochul, Senator Bernie Sanders, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Republican Curtis Sliwa. He met with folks at the 14th Street subway station this morning and said he has, again, no plans to drop out.
We're going to venture into the subway, as I do each and every day, and continue the campaign with the people who drive this city, the working class, the people that I represent in this campaign, and we'll leave it up to them.
Andrew Cuomo is meeting with voters in Harlem at this hour, while early voting continues this week. In the first 2 days, over the weekend, 164,000 people cast their ballots, according to the Board of Election. which is 5 times more than cast their ballots on the first 2 days of early voting 4 years ago. Mayor Adams in Brooklyn today, where he talked about a new school safety initiative. Dozens of schools will be getting a panic button that'll send out an alert directly to the NYPD.
We would save lives by providing rapid response in active shooting situation. And this is tested. This program was tested at OTI's lab, and now we are rolling it out to a total of 51 schools across the 5 boroughs.
The rollout will start at a Spring Creek Community School where the mayor made the announcement. He says it is about prioritizing safety for students. A Queens man sentenced to 50 years to life in prison for the 2023 murder of his brother and mother. Roscoe Danielson was convicted last month. The brother was stabbed 50 times, and his body was stuffed in a garbage bag and dragged from the family's East Elmhurst home to a nearby curb, according to prosecutors. The mother was stabbed 38 times. Her remains were later found inside the home. Queens DA Melinda Katz says this is one of the grisliest crime scenes her office has ever encountered. Governor Hochul says she will fast-track $30 million in emergency assistance funding to help those impacted by the government shutdown, including those in danger of losing access to federal food assistance as early as this weekend.
Representatives from city food pantries applauded the governor's announcement, expecting increased demand come November 1st.
And that's in addition to the $11 million I announced on Friday. So $41 million combined overall support right now during this crisis.
Food stamp recipients also spoke at the Harlem rally. Oybek Otroyev said SNAP puts food on the table for his family of 5.
We've been using SNAP for 9 years. Even with that amount, it's hard to keep up.
November 1st is also when health insurance premiums go up 40% for some 140,000 New Yorkers on Obamacare. Marla Diamond, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM in Harlem.
Another state is about to redraw its congressional map, or at least try to. Indiana Governor Mike Braun calling state lawmakers to return to Indianapolis for a special session next Monday. It is not clear if it has enough Republican support, but it would be another effort to give Republicans a better shot of hanging on to control of Congress in the midterm elections. The Trump White House has been meeting with Indiana's GOP leadership for months. The state Senate may lack the votes to pass a new congressional map. Republicans in Texas and Missouri, they've already moved quickly to enact a new set of districts, and California Democrats are looking to counter with their own redistricting plan. That effort will be decided on first by the voters before it gets to lawmakers. An owl that depends on humans for care vanished on Long Island after accidentally getting away from a nature center.
Volunteers are walking all over the Sweetbriar Nature Center property, looking up into the trees and calling for Nebula, the barn owl, to please come home. The center's Veronica Sayers says the 6-year-old owl has been here since she was a tiny baby.
Our fingers are crossed that she could maybe find something out there, but that doesn't guarantee that it's something healthy for her to eat.
The owl is white and tan with spots, and please note, she does not make a hooting noise. Instead, a screeching noise like this. If you see Nebula, please contact the center immediately. Sophia Hall, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM in Smithtown, Long Island.
Russia is testing a new nuclear-powered missile.
7 years after revealing work on the missile, Vladimir Putin announced a test yesterday of what NATO has codenamed Skyfall. That came after tough U.S. sanctions on Russia's energy sectors and new European commitments of military aid for Ukraine. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov says the test shows Russia's ensuring its own security. President Trump's blasting the announcement.
I don't think it's an appropriate thing for Putin to be saying either.
Saying the Russian leader should be focused on ending the war.
That's what he ought to do instead of testing missiles.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
The second phase of World Cup ticket sales kicked off today. 1 million tickets becoming available in a draw that runs through 11 a.m. on Friday. The draw includes a domestic exclusivity time slot for residents in the 3 host countries, so the U.S., Mexico, Canada. Fans who are selected in the draw will be notified at least 48 hours before their time slot opens to buy tickets next month. More than 1 million tickets have already been sold. First at 151, let's get you to where you need to go with Greg Rice.
Southbound side of the FDR Drive, it's just getting worse. Looks like you got a brand new wreck near East Houston Street. That has you slow from the 20s. And then we're still dealing with this other collision on the southbound FDR Drive right near the Manhattan Bridge. So from right around East 23rd all the way down to the Manhattan Bridge, it's more of an FDR parking lot than a drive. The West Side Highway downtown does the job. Northbound west side of the 120s, you got the left lane construction really starting to throw everybody for a loop. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Citybound George, 30 to 40 on either level because of the midday work. Deegan's the best of it out of the Bronx. West side is still your Manhattan winner. Lincoln Tunnel, we're looking at about 10 minutes in. Outbound side of the Lincoln's all right. The Holland, no more than a few minutes in either direction. Cross Island starting to slow south to the LI. You stay with the Clearview. And in Jersey, southbound Eastern Spur near 15W. You got a wreck in the right lane. Stay with the southbound Western Spur. That's going to send you down to Newark and then through Woodbridge in much better shape. Greg Rice, 1010 wins at 92.3 FM.
A check of the AccuWeather forecast. Meteorologist Matt Benz.
And out the door here for the remainder of this afternoon. A little bit of a breeze at times. Otherwise, we're heading up to high 57 tonight. Cool, low 44 in the city. Mid to upper 30s again in many suburbs. Tomorrow, breezy. Cool with a mix of sun and clouds. Maybe a sprinkle towards the coast, but much of the area just dry, high at 57. Wednesday, windy, chilly, plenty of clouds. Most of the area just dry, though there could be a little bit of rain, mainly south and east of the city, high 55. Watching a developing storm into Wednesday night and Thursday that will bring rain, some heavy, along with very windy conditions. High 60 by Thursday afternoon. Right now it's 54 degrees in Central Park under a mostly sunny sky. Repeating, the current temperature is 54, heading up to 57 this afternoon in Midtown. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Matt Benz on New York's weather station. 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
A new movie about Neil Diamond premiered last night, but he wasn't there.
What do you think? You don't want to be a Neil Diamond impersonator.
The stars, Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson, say they got an emotional FaceTime call from Neil Diamond, who was not there for Song Sung Blue, explaining he couldn't make it to the AFI Gala premiere in Los Angeles. The actors didn't say why, but the singer was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2018. Diamond appeared in a wheelchair at an awards ceremony in Colorado earlier this month. Jackman says he asked them to tell everyone he loves them and to keep on singing. Song Sung Blue is based on the true story of a Milwaukee couple that formed a Neil Diamond tribute band. Deborah Rodriguez for 1010 wins.
Some changes to CBS.
From the CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News.
John Dickerson, who co-anchors the CBS Evening News, will leave the network at the end of the year. It's the first high-profile exit since the hiring of Barbara Weiss as editor-in-chief. Dickerson, who's also hosted Face the Nation for years, says he's grateful for all that CBS gave him, for being part of the network's history, and for the colleagues who made him a better journalist and a better human being.
1010 wins.
When I need to know.
When I need to know.
When I need to know.
1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
Right now, 54 degrees with sunshine in the city. We're expecting a cool breeze to stick around this afternoon and a high of 57. Time now for Bloomberg Money Watch.
Perhaps you've heard the advice that you shouldn't bring up politics or religion at Thanksgiving dinner. And while that may be good advice, a new survey finds there's another topic that may be even better not to bring up. Money. Bankrate says between half and two-thirds of people would be uncomfortable discussing bank balances, incomes, or credit card debt at this year's holiday gatherings. That is far more than those hoping to avoid talking politics, religion, or even their own weight. I'm Andrew O'Day, Bloomberg Money Watch on 1010 wins at 92.3 FM.
WINS, WINS-FM in HD1 New York. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
More people get their news from 1010 wins than from any other radio station in the nation. Angela Laurie is our service aide. Justin Schrager at the editor's desk. I'm Kevin Rincon.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 wins at 92.3 FM, New York.
Good afternoon. Sunny skies and 54 degrees at 2 o'clock. I'm Larry Mullins, and here's what's happening. Folks, I don't know if you've been listening, but the biggest storm to hit Jamaica since they started tracking storms almost 2 centuries ago is bearing down. The warnings are up. The storm will hit tomorrow morning. Relatives here in New York worried. Coming up, we'll have the latest on Category 5 Melissa. Also here, a big fire in Queens today takes the life of an 85-year-old woman. Fire officials say they still aren't sure what caused the fire on 26th Avenue, which also left a pair of firefighters hurt. The biggest turnout for early voting in history. That's what the city election board is saying about the first weekend where New Yorkers went to the polls early to elect a new mayor, and it continues today. Got another owl situation. Think Flacco from Central Park. Well, this time it involves a little barn owl on Long Island, and folks are worried sick about Nebula. Where is she? And the legendary Neil Diamond celebrating in a debut film which came out this past weekend, but unfortunately, he couldn't make it. We'll have reaction from his friend. Somebody call and tell Sweet Caroline the news is about to start. AccuWeather says sunshine mixing with clouds and a cool breeze coming through will get to a high of 57. Let's get Monday afternoon started. When's News Time 201? Let's get you where you need to go now. Here's Mr. Gregory Wright.
Here's the southbound FDR Drive. You got double trouble. There's a wreck on the FDR southbound near East Houston Street. That's blocking at least one lane and slowing you down from the 30s. And then southbound FDR are other issues. Another crash near the Manhattan Bridge. All in all, southbound's messy from the 30s to the Manhattan Bridge. Northbound jams up from the Lower East Side up towards East Houston Street because of that collision. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Citybound George, half hour on either level. Both decks have inbound construction. West Side Highway got northbound construction. The left lane in the 120s. That's got you slow out of the 90s, but the east side, you're also jammed up from the 150s right to the bridge. West side overall is easier. Northbound Deegan, best of it out of the Bronx. Lincoln, pretty good inbound ride. Outbound Lincoln's all right. The Holland, no more than a few minutes right now in either direction. Getting off of the Bronx-bound Whitestone Bridge and onto the northbound Hutch, very slow. You're single file with construction. Throgs Neck, a much safer or easier ride out of Queens and into the Bronx. Greg Rice, 10-10 wins at 92.3 FM.
Thank you, G. And we begin this afternoon with a big whoa. Wins family, if you've got people down in Jamaica, anywhere in Jamaica, get them on the phone. Tell them to do whatever they can and able to do to get out of harm's way. You've heard the news. They've got a Cat 5 hurricane, Melissa, that's bearing down at this hour. And forecasters say it's an understatement to even ponder the catastrophic flooding, landslides, and widespread damage this storm is about to unleash.
Hurricane Melissa is expected to make landfall as the strongest storm in this country's history. A lot of people here, I don't think, understand the power of what's about to hit. So they're going through the same preparations that have gotten them through storms before. But this is a different storm, and I'm not sure that a lot of people realize the power and devastation that a storm of this strength can actually cause.
Yeah, that's why we say get them on the phone, tell them to double down on whatever they're doing to prepare for this storm, folks. This will be the biggest storm to ever hit the island since they started record keeping back in 1851. And we're not hyping it up for the news headlines either. This is real. 13-foot storm surges driven by 157-mile-an-hour winds. In fact, right now it has sustained winds of 165 miles an hour. There are mandatory evacuations in 7 flood-prone communities in Jamaica. That's good news, but some people insist on staying, with one woman telling reporters, "I've stocked up on some canned goods, and I'll just make sure to keep my doors closed tight." We will continue to monitor developments. Back home, a big fire in Queens this morning takes the life of an 85-year-old woman. It happened in College Point. Firefighters arrived at a house on 26th Avenue about 5 this morning, finding the lady unconscious and unresponsive. Fire started on the first floor of the 2.5-story home. They got her out and rushed her to Presby in Queens, but she didn't make it. 2 firefighters also suffered minor injuries, still trying to find out what started that fire. They did not release her name. And out of the government shutdown, and we have many moving parts here. Day 27 are elected lawmakers in Washington who are still getting their paychecks, by the way, still no closer to voting on a bill that'll reopen the government and more specifically pay the thousands of furloughed workers who aren't getting a dime. Governor Hochul says we are in crisis mode now, posting a rally today to announce a $30 million emergency food assistance program.
The $30 million is in addition to the $11 million in food bank assistance the governor announced last week.
It'll help keep food pantries stocked. Little kids' tummies fed.
One of those kids is the 6-year-old sister of Brooklyn teen Oybek Otragev, youth advocate for the Chinese American Planning Council.
Food stamps for my family serve only one purpose: to survive. They make sure we don't have to go to school hungry and that my family has something to eat every day.
November will also bring a 40% hike in Obamacare health insurance premiums for 140,000 New Yorkers. Marla Diamond, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM in Harlem.
Yeah, crunching numbers here. Governor Hochul says 3 million New Yorkers stand to lose food assistance, SNAP benefits on November 1st. The Trump administration has posted it on its website that there will be no SNAP benefits to anybody, which will include some 40 million Americans overall. As for the latest on the shutdown, Democrats say they want to have dialogue on extending those health care tax cuts Marla talked about, which are set to expire and which would raise premiums for millions of Americans when they do. But Republicans are holding firm, saying they don't even want to talk about it until the government reopens.
The Senate will return here to Washington tonight. Republicans have tried and failed 12 times to pass a bill to end this shutdown in that chamber. Meantime, the House of Representatives is on recess for the 5th straight week in a row. Speaker Johnson signaling he'll keep that chamber out until the Senate votes to reopen the government.
And many of those Democratic lawmakers are saying, you're asking me to sign off on an agreement before we can solidify what that agreement is. Reporters asked President Trump on his plane headed to Japan this morning if there was any way, meantime, to pay air traffic controllers at least in the wake of all this to keep the skies safe. He replied, yeah, there is, but he didn't elaborate, instead pivoting to blame Democrats for the shutdown. Meantime, critics, including one of President Trump's fiercest defenders, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, says she blames the shutdown on her own party, Republicans, saying we control the House, the Senate, and the Oval. What gives? Others have also taken exception to President Trump building a new ballroom, which he reportedly plans to name after himself, and sending billions to other countries like Argentina, while people here, and particularly our farmers, are suffering. Quoting Taylor Greene, a bailout of Argentina is one of the grossest things I've ever seen, and adding, Trump's Argentina plan does not fall in line with his America First agenda. House Speaker Mike Johnson's response to Greene's observation and complaint, and we quote, well, bless her heart. Speaking of the shutdown, the effects at Newark Liberty Airport, Garden State folks doing what they do in a crisis. Got all these poor folks without a paycheck in the wake of the government shutdown, but they've still got to eat. And today, help arrived.
There are 23,000 civilian government employees from Jersey who are missing their first paycheck this Wednesday. So here to help at Newark Liberty for some of those employees, the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. Is there Elizabeth McCarthy, the president?
The bigger strain, we think, will start next week if SNAP benefits don't get turned on, which is a real threat with this shutdown. They're saying that as of November 1st, the 850,000 people in New Jersey who get SNAP benefits are not going to get them. So yeah, more than ever, we need our supporters. Donating, volunteering. There's tons of places on our website, cfbnj.org, where people can figure out how to get involved.
They expect to hand out at least 1,000 of these 10-pound produce boxes to help those who are stretching their budgets very thin right now. Glenn Schuck, 1010 wins, 92.3 FM at Newark Liberty.
And again, they're doing it at Terminal C, Level 2, Door 5 on a first-come, first-served basis. It is something, folks. AccuWeather says tonight partly cloudy with a low of 44 in town, mid to upper 30s across the northern and western suburbs. Right now, 54 degrees in Central Park. Switching gears now, and the city's Board of Elections says about 164,000 folks voted this weekend, 80,000 on Saturday, another 84,000 on Sunday for early voting. They say it was a record. Who knew? Brooklyn and Manhattan dominated the turnout. 49,432 Brooklynites voted early, and 49,191 people in Manhattan voted. Queens came in third, followed by the Bronx and then Staten Island. There are 9 days to go before Election Day in New York City. They say the first day of early voting more than quadrupled the numbers in 2021. That's the last time New Yorkers voted for a mayor. Manhattan saw about 5 times as many voters on Saturday. Early voting remains open in the 5 boroughs through November 2nd, and is not just the mayor's race now. Voters considering various candidates in the down ballots and a menu of propositions. Whatever you vote, early or wait for Election Day, get out and vote, family. It counts. All hands on deck. So from France, did you hear the news? They caught 2 of the Louvre guys, a couple of the guys who allegedly robbed the Louvre of all of those priceless jewels. Still, the question remains, how were they able to pull that off? That is just crazy. We'll get the update on that here in just a moment. It's news time 2:11, though. Let's get you where you need to go for now. It's Greg Rice.
All this trouble on the FDR Drive. Southbound FDR near East Houston Street. You got a wreck. Multiple lanes are out. A slow ride from the Midtown Tunnel. And the southbound FDR at the Manhattan Bridge. They're clearing a crash in the right lane. Northbound FDR sloppy back up towards East Houston Street with rubbernecking. And it's also messy either way through the 70s onto the FDR Drive. West Side Highway. Friday, you got the construction northbound in the left lane through the 120s. That'll slow you down out of the 90s, but that's still the better of it, getting you uptown overall. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Citybound George, we're looking at least 30 minutes on either level. Northbound Dean and Best Home out of the Bronx. Lincoln, no more than a few either way. Even the Holland Tunnel in pretty decent shape. Whitestone Bridge, Bronx bound, as you get off the span, you got to deal with construction getting onto the hut. The RFK Bronx bound, very slow getting onto the bridge, so the Clearview Throg the best of it either way. Across the Upper East River, getting nasty in Nassau. Looks like on the southbound side of the Meadowbrook, coming down to the Southern State Parkway, we're dealing with a crash. That has you slowed all the way back past Hempstead Turnpike. Stay with the southbound Wantagh instead. Greg Rice, 1010 wins at 92.3 FM.
And now your AccuWeather 4-day forecast. Gorgeous day outside today. Meteorologist Matt Benz here with this live report. Hey, Matt.
Yeah, Larry, not a bad one. A little bit of a cool breeze at times. That's about it. Sunshine, just a couple clouds out there. High 57. Then for tonight, turning out partly cloudy. Low 44 in the city. Mid to upper 30s out once again in northern and western suburbs. Tomorrow, a little bit more breezy and with a mix of sun and clouds. Perhaps a sprinkle towards the coast. High 57. Windy and chilly for Wednesday. Plenty of clouds. Maybe a little bit of rain as well, mainly south and east of the city. High 55. Best chance for rain returns Wednesday night through the day on Thursday. That could include some heavy rain and some gusty winds as a new storm rolls into the region. High on Thursday around 60. Right now it's 54 degrees in Central Park with the relative humidity at 39%. Repeating the current temperature is 54, going up to 57 this afternoon in Midtown. I'm Mackie with the meteorologist Matt Benz on New York's weather station. 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
From France, they got him somebody tied to the brazen robberies at the Louvre.
Professor Alain Bauer is a French criminologist who told us those arrested are well known to the police.
The fact that they've now arrested 2 suspects, does that make it more likely that the police will be able to recover the jewels?
I'm pessimistic about the jewels. I'm optimistic about catching all the thieves.
Bauer told us the stolen treasures may have already left France. The gold and silver melted down and the gems cut into smaller, untraceable stones.
Holly Williams there. People are still in shock, though, over how these guys managed to roll a big truck up to the building and used a basket lift. Took their time in broad daylight to steal the jewels more than a week ago, and nobody noticed. God, this inside job. Sneezing here. Inside job. Hey, everybody, remember all the stories we did about the Central Park owl Flacco when it escaped from an enclosure and then it spent weeks entertaining our curiosity, and especially after it disappeared and then reappeared and eventually succumbed to the elements, some man-made, some organic? Well, a similar search is playing out on Long Island. This is involving a little barn owl. People are hoping we're not poised for the same outcome.
A lot of sad faces here at Sweetbriar Nature Center as volunteers, including Veronica Sayers, continue to comb the property looking for their missing barn owl named Nebula.
Everybody's upset. Everybody's losing sleep.
Anyone who sees the white, tan, and gray owl should contact the center. But please note, the owl does not make a hooting sound.
If you hear a screaming kind of call, it's a barn owl.
This is the sound she makes. Sophia Hall, 1010 wins a 92.3 FM in Smithtown, Long Island.
All right, Nebula, now, where are you? This is the difference, by the way, between Nebula and Flacco. Flacco fended for itself. It was pretty much wild. Nebula depends on humans to take care of her, so somehow she managed to slip away from her handler the other day and flew off. So if you see her, again, they want you to call Sweetbriar, 631-979-6344. Let me repeat that because they're trying to get that little one back. 631-979-6344. We always get a large response to stories like that. Nebula, come home. Also today, the city announced the return of its Dusk and Darkness campaign, warning New Yorkers of heightened dangers to pedestrians during fall evenings. NYPD Chief of Transportation Lola Obe.
To every driver, we say this: slow down. Pay attention. Remember that visibility changes quickly this time of year, and every safe choice you make helps protect your neighbors, your family, and yourself.
Good advice. Thank you, Ms. Lola. She says even a quick glance at your phone can totally change the picture on a routine drive home, folks. Of course, all of this coincides with daylight saving time next weekend, where the clocks fall back and officials say the hours near sunset become the most dangerous of the year for pedestrians. A bittersweet night in L.A. They premiered a movie about the legendary singer-songwriter Neil Diamond, but he wasn't able to get there to see it for himself.
What do you think?
You don't want to be a Neil Diamond impersonator.
The stars, Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson, say they got an emotional FaceTime call from Neil Diamond, who was not there for Song Sung Blue, explaining he couldn't make it to the AFI Gala premiere in Los Angeles. The actors didn't say why, but the singer was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2018. Diamond appeared in a wheelchair at an awards ceremony in Colorado earlier this month. Jackman says he asked them to tell everyone he loves them and to keep on singing. Song Sung Blue is based on the true story of a Milwaukee couple that formed a Neil Diamond tribute band. Deborah Rodriguez for 1010 Wins.
Yeah, the movie debuts to the rest of the world, by the way, on Christmas Day this year. The musical drama features all his greatest hits, including Sweet Caroline. I used to be Neil Diamond in the shower. Nobody knew. Your headlines are next.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
We got 54 degrees and sunny skies here at 220. I'm Larry Mullins, and here's what's happening. We get the latest on Hurricane Melissa bearing down on Jamaica as a Category 5 storm, and the ominous prediction from the National Hurricane Center, catastrophic. An update on the storm and reaction from people with relatives who live there on this approach. Mayor Adams rolling out the panic button today, which will eventually be installed in some 51 schools here in the city. It's a way for teachers, administrators, anybody to be put in direct contact with 911 in the event of the unthinkable. President Trump on board Air Force One headed to Japan today, not ruling out running for president a third time, telling reporters, "I'd love to do it. I have my best numbers ever." He says, "We have a great group of people, and the Democrats don't." A new lawsuit casting New York into the national gerrymandering fight. It's on part of 4 New Yorkers who say the state's congressional map illegally dilutes black and Latino votes on Staten Island and in parts of southern Brooklyn. And in Harlem today, Governor Kathy Hochul said you'd better believe her team had been sitting on their hands and not preparing for when President Trump tries to send ICE and the National Guard here. She says, "We are preparing." AccuWeather says sunshine mixing with clouds and a cool breeze, heading to a high of 57 degrees on this Monday afternoon. When's News Time 221? Let's get you where you need to go now. It's Greg Rice.
Well, here is what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Sitting downside of the George Washington Bridge, still about a 25-minute ride on either level. Lower, maybe a couple of minutes worse, but it's really not that big of a difference. West Side Highway, the construction of the 120s is gone, and that's going to be the best of it out of town. Lincoln Tunnel, pretty good ride either way. Even the Holland Tunnel mostly behaves. On the east side of Manhattan, FDR Drive, a standstill either way over to East Houston Street. You got a southbound crash. You got multiple lanes out, and you got at least one northbound lane closed. So the FDR southbound slows from the UN, northbound from the Brooklyn Bridge. All of this traffic heading for East Houston Street. The outbound Gowanus before the Verrazano near Fort Hamilton Parkway, that looks like a crash and looks real bad from the Belt Parkway split, trying to get you there. Jackie Robinson Parkway parking lot westbound out of Queens, getting over to Cypress Hill Street in Brooklyn. That's because of a collision, leaving you at best single-filed. Greg Rice, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
Down in the Caribbean, some people are heeding the warning in the approach of Category 5 Melissa to get the heck out of the way. Others sitting tight and handling it like it's a run-of-the-mill smaller storm like they're accustomed to. But this is different. This is vastly different.
This morning, the wind is really starting to gust in Kingston. The rain is blowing in sideways. The heaviest of the rain still hasn't hit yet, but we expect that over the next few hours. People are still coming out. They're starting to come and walk to the waterway and just take a look at the waves. But I can already see this morning some of the tin roofs on some